tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So this is the fourth session of the Sutta Studies Rains Retreat 2024. And last time I kind of basically finished on the theme of the meditation, main meditations, calm and insight meditation, samatha vipassana, the kind of main motivating influence of all sentient beings is to be free of suffering and hopefully to have some pleasure too in life. But one of the Buddha's unique insights, he had a number of them, but one of the unique ones was that we can't avoid suffering really. You know, all the different means and ways we try to get away from it. And the only way to totally resolve suffering is to find and uproot the cause of suffering, which of course probably sounds logical, at least intellectually anyway. Of course, emotionally, different story. Yeah? Who wants to really look closely at suffering? In order to find out the cause of suffering, of course, we have to look at suffering. We have to go into the suffering and investigate it at its deepest level. And for the average person, not so easy. We have a long backlog of, you can say, unskillful attitudes to suffering. But the Buddha's given us some very helpful tools. This is what meditation practice is about. And the two main tools are development of collectedness or samadhi, or samatha meditation, calm meditation, and the development of sati or mindfulness or attentiveness. These are the two main qualities which the Buddha emphasized in meditation practice, especially mindfulness, because that's something you can say maybe the Buddha emphasized that to a very, very high degree, more than any other religions as far as I can tell. Virtually all religions have some kind of emphasis on samadhi, collectedness, or concentration, whether they know it or not. The exercises for a lot of spiritual traditions, things like chanting and prayer, is to help focus the mind and exercise in collectedness. And if you've ever gone into a cathedral or somewhere, do they have cathedrals in Australia? Yeah. Not as grand as in Europe, probably, but no. If you go into a grand cathedral, just walking in there, just collects your mind in this one place. Not only cathedrals, but that's kind of even our sala, isn't that right? When we walk in the sala, you immediately feel calm and safe and kind of collected, and you just want to sit down and meditate, right? It's not too cold. When I was in New Zealand, the hall there in New Zealand, Wellington, was built especially modeled on a Japanese temple, but and it's set up as a kind of a sacred space. I mean, the architect was a disciple of the monastery, and he used to come every year and bring architect students and explain to them. So I listened one time, and he was telling about how especially a square building. Square is a very auspicious symbol, shape. It was a square building. And I didn't really kind of, we have our meditation there, we have our, all our activities there, so I didn't really notice very much. But one day there was this, I think this lady was a Christian, I guess. They wanted to come and see the place. So I kind of showed her up to the sala, and we opened the door, we walked in, and she's, oh, my goodness, this is such a peaceful place. I said, Yeah, I guess so. I never quite noticed it before, but she was so dramatic about it, just walking in from outside, I guess, the busy world, and then this, then I noticed, yeah, I guess also it probably absorbed the calm vibrations, if you went into that kind of thing, of many people in this room, you see. They can be very quiet and peaceful and meditating. So. But anyway, the development of collectedness is kind of a stage that we realize is helpful. The mind is somewhat collected, but if we go too far with collectedness, the mind gets very, very collected, very, very calm, and you can experience something like have a religious experience. Yeah, some people, when their mind is very, very calm, they would experience what they call nimittas, or visions of light. And think, oh, I've been touched by God or the angels or something, and there's great bliss and joy. And I don't know if anybody knows that or not yet. A bit too early, is it? Next month. But the point is, you can get so calm that it seems as if all the suffering's gone away. But it's only put to sleep because you aren't giving any attention. You're giving attention to the meditation object. And if you focus on some peaceful meditation object like breathing, well, it is peaceful, and as you focus on that, and just forget about all the worries and fears and problems you had in the world. They say that the kind of classical 5 hindrances are suppressed. No more sensual desire, no more ill will, no more sleepiness and lethargy, no more restlessness and worry, no more doubt. Yeah. But as soon as you come out of it, whoop, back again. Maybe not quite so, whoop, but but it does creep back again. Maybe it's a delayed effect. That state of calm can persist. Once you've contacted it, it can persist for some time, but eventually it falls apart. Your mind gets scattered again. And then the development of sati, or mindfulness, attentiveness, that's to allow us to be able to see clearly the nature of suffering. But if we don't have enough calmness of mind, it's very hard to see it clearly because we just react to it. So maybe it's a good point now to explain a little bit about what's on the board there. The perceptual process. Probably I don't know how many of you can see that process as it's working, but the Buddha with his very advanced meditation was able to see this process, break it down into stages. So whenever there's the sense organ contacts a sense object, you have what's called contact, and it's the rise of some kind of knowing happens. Bare knowing, I translate it as vijnana. Just to know there is sight, there is sound, there is smell, taste, touch, bodily sensation, there is thought going on. And automatically from that arises feeling. But this feeling is very, very rudimentary. It's like very primal. It's just, something is pleasant, it's unpleasant, or it's neutral. Is it dangerous? Is it unpleasant? It could be dangerous. Or is it pleasant? And maybe I could look at that a bit more. Or is it just neutral? You just, okay, so what? You don't need to give much more attention. And then from those happen automatically. The contact, the bare knowing, and the feeling. And then the next one is perception, or I translate it as recognizing. This now is another stage of this perceptual process. The first stage, vijnana, it just knows, sight. And all that, for example, sight, all that your eyes pick up is color and shape. But you don't have any label for it yet. Just the color and shape. But it's the sanya, it's the recognition that now gives it a label, gives it meaning. What is this color and shape seems to be like this. And from that, then we start to think about it. And now you know what it is, now what to do with it. Gives it, how to deal with it now. You think about it. Oh, that's a clock. I can use that to tell what time it is, and that remind. Then, if this sense contacts are strong enough, goes on to the next stage, papancha. This is called the elaboration or proliferation of thought. What you think about, then you keep thinking about. Oh, clocks, that reminds me of the last time I saw a clock. Oh yeah, how much that clock cost? I wonder if I can do. And then maybe it goes even further into an avalanche of thought. It says I translate this as perceptions and concepts from elaboration. So you can go really far away, as probably you've noticed. See a clock, and then suddenly I'm on eBay looking at clocks now. I want to get a better clock. Oh right, back here again. Oh yes, here now. But if you aren't aware of this process, most of us maybe don't even wake up until we're on eBay already, right? How did I get here? I saw the clock. Oh. But when you can develop some degree of collectedness, focusing attention on the breathing process, for example, then ideally the papancha, the elaboration, slows down, maybe even stops. And maybe even the thinking also. In the second absorption, the thinking stops too. No more thinking. So there is still maybe some perception, and then there is feeling, there is some degree of knowing. There's also an advanced meditation. I think it's the ninth absorption, the cessation of perception and feeling. I don't know what that is. If anybody knows what it is. If anybody's done there, let me know what it is. Just bare knowing with no feeling and no perception is blah. But even in feeling, there'll be some, you can say, it could lead on to like and dislike, the feeling.
Equanimity? Where's the equanimity?
That's in the absorption too, but if there is some feeling, there still could also be some preference, liking and disliking. But in the development of collectedness, I think I read some of it, last time, about the first absorption, the first level, deep level. I mean, it's a gradation again, but the first deep level absorption, the first level is that there's still thinking going on. This thinking is, it's initial and sustained thought, technically, but this thought is thinking about the meditation object. If you think about something else, you're distracted. You aren't focused. But you think about, or your mind revolves around, what am I doing? Watching the breathing, watching the breathing, watching the breathing, watching the breathing. So if you have that as your main thought, the breathing, and you try to sustain that thought, breathing, 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 eventually thinking can stop, and you're just aware of breathing as an experience. No thinking involved in it. You keep up with it. And then there is piti sukha, which is joy and well-being. It's in there too, as well as one-pointedness. And then the 5 hindrances are in abeyance, temporarily suspended, temporarily quietened down. So very, very peaceful, very absorbing, very, very tranquil, very calming. And basically we calm down our reactiveness. Most people, they notice some degree of suffering, some degree of pain, for example, then, oh, no, I don't want this. Maybe all kinds of memories come up, backlog of, oh, last time I had this memory, last time I had this pain, it was like this and like that. But when the mind is very collected, there isn't all that reactiveness anymore. I don't know if you probably have noticed already to some degree that when the mind is calm, you can, endure a little bit of discomfort, right? Sometimes even a lot of discomfort, and it's no big issue. But if your mind is scattered and a little bit distracted, a little bit of pain is something even more aggravating, more irritating. But it depends upon the degree, and at least sometimes to be able to have some calmness of mind and be able to observe the pain, for example, physical pain maybe, just observe it. Maybe it can give you at least a psychological breakthrough that, I can relate to it differently. See that the pain is feeling, it's in the mind, not in the body. The body, of course, is under stress, but it's the mind which says it's ouch, painful. If you change your state of mind to now a more calm state of mind, and also with the calmness, there's a spaciousness, an openness, a centeredness, a collectedness. So, no big deal, The pain, no big issue then. Okay? So you can look at it in a different way, and then, change my mind, then this pain changes too. It's not as bad as I thought it was. So give you a different possibility anyway to relate to it. Of course, you have to be careful because any kind of pain shows the body is under stress, and that has limitations, the body, so don't overdo it. There was one Ajahn that his meditation was sitting through the pain. I don't recommend it. I'm not recommending it. I'm just pointing out that it's the possibilities, but don't try it. Don't be responsible for it. But he just sat with the pain. He had very, very strong concentration already. So he could sit with the pain for 2 or 3 hours. I think it was the first time, and suddenly it just disappeared. There was just bright light and bliss, and he broke through the pain barrier. In other words. And then he continued, and then he liked it because it was felt blissful now. He still began to sit. He still sat there, and it came back again, twice as bad as before. The pain, pain came back twice as bad. But he sat through that. Another couple hours, 3 hours, and that went away too. Poof! Even brighter light and more bliss. So where is the pain actually? It's all in your mind. But it is showing the body's under stress, so helpful to listen to it too sometimes. But most of the time, people have a little bit of pain. Immediately, they get really anxious and frustrated, and I can't deal with this. What am I going to do? But you change your mind. I'll mention maybe next time about the practice of metta bhavana. I did already, right? About being able to be friendly to the discomfort.
Yeah, last week.
Yeah. So did you break through?
I tried.
Okay, yeah. Don't push it too much. You gotta be careful. If you try, you can't relax. You see.
No.
Yeah, it's like really giving up. You're almost surrendering to the discomfort. You can't just sit here in yourself and say, "Okay, I'll give you metta if you go away." No. Because the pain is you see. So you have to really surrender. But anyway, I'll go into it later, more detail here. But anyway, there's benefits from collectedness or samadhi, but there's also a little bit of danger because if people are good at samadhi, they can mistake that for nibbana. You have and the mind's very, very deeply calm, and there's bliss, and maybe some bright golden light. This is nibbana. Yeah, and I think I read about this in the scripture. Yeah, this is it. This is heaven. Yeah. I like it. I want it. I still agreed for it. Oops, it can't be nibbana then. And then once you come out of this, you can't stay in absorption all the time. So you have to come out and eat and go to the toilet, and gradually it fades away because it's dependent upon the focusing. I don't know how many times when I was sitting in my little hut in Thailand, and my early days of meditation, didn't know much about it, and the mind went calm. This is it, I made it. I can go home now. I finished the course. I went to Thailand, get enlightened, and here I am. I got it. Yeah. Open my eyes and get up, and then, oh, gee, aches and pains. Oh, whoops. It's supposed to be Nibbana is supposed to be painful, is it? It's supposed to be free of pain, right? Cessation of suffering. So back to the cushion again. Try again. Maybe next time I get there. But it does give you a little taste of the possibilities anyway. But the Buddha's approach is you have to find out the cause of the suffering before we can resolve it. You know, the Four Noble Truths. There is dukkha, suffering, we translate as unsatisfactoriness. There's a cause, there's a cessation when the cause is removed, and there's a path to follow. So it is possible to do that. Follow the path. And the ultimate cause of suffering is ignorance and craving. Give you the short answer. But ignorance is pretty deep. Ignorance is just not having a degree. Ignorance is not knowing the fundamental reality of life. And because we are ignorant, then we indulge in craving. Craving for life, craving for sensual desires. That's the activity of ignorance, if you like. And a lot of this is so deeply programmed into us. You know, it's just the way that our self develops to, you know, not look at things, to ignore reality, and to indulge in craving. Right from the moment we're born. They even say in Buddhism, previous lives too. We have this wrong way of seeing things within us. So very deeply rooted. So the Buddha gives us this other tool of mindfulness, sati. It's usually translated as mindfulness. Unfortunately, it's been so, I would say, even misused, the term misused these days. It's been used in the psychological context, taken out of the Buddhist context. And so it does have an effect, it does work, of course, but the way the Buddha explained it, as you've read in the scripture, hopefully, the practice of mindfulness leads to the complete cessation of suffering. Yeah, but you have to follow the instructions, right? You know, but detailed instructions, right? Yeah. You read them all? Remember them all?
I need to read again.
We got the book available to us, so we can look at it again. So maybe we should have an app about it or something here on our phone. But anyway, even developing it at the beginning, just the more we develop it, the better the situation our mind is. The more clear you are about what's going on, step by step by step. I mean, it is a progression. Starting off with the body first. The body is, we say, is the slowest to change, the most obvious, easier to see the body. It's easier to be aware or mindful or attentive to the body. The feelings are a little bit more subtle. States of mind, quite fast and more. Where does one state of mind end and the next one begin, for example? But you can tell where the body begins and ends, right? Yeah. Where your arms are, where your legs are and stuff. Yeah. Where your breath begins and ends, you can notice that. The last one is the Dhammas. 27 different themes, Buddhist themes, you can say. Yeah, some of them are themes to be contemplated, some of them are qualities of mind to cultivate or to try and relinquish the hindrances. We try to reduce the hindrances, try to cultivate the factors of awakening. But gradually, I mean, we can, as we develop the exercises from the beginning, slowly we learn. It's like going to school, for example. You learn the basic lessons first, get a good grounding in them, then you can progress to the next one. For example, developing some of these exercises in body awareness can become a very good foundation for being aware of feeling. Feelings based on sense contact. you know, and you know, sights are a bit fleeting, but sensations in the body, there is it pleasant, you know, becoming unpleasant now. Neutral first, maybe, neutral first, even pleasant maybe, then you press a bit harder, and at a certain point it becomes unpleasant. And then also, when you have more awareness of body, you can be aware of certain states of mind. Because the body expresses itself, the mind expresses itself through the body. So like anger. And for some people it's very hard to see anger, but look in your body. Ooh, there it is. The symptoms of anger in your body. It gives you a possibility to be able to look at it more carefully without maybe getting lost in the anger. Many of us, we try and look at the anger, we get angry with the anger, or get frustrated with not being able to see the anger, or overwhelmed by the anger. But then in the body, there it is right there. It's hard to escape it. So it's important to get a good foundation, I would say, these exercises, and maybe it's helpful to go step by step. You know, as you read the body exercises, there were what, 5 of them? 5 or 6? Okay, I got it right here. Yes, my notes. So the first one is about the breath, the breathing meditation. You know, maybe everybody's probably heard about using the breath as a focus for attention. So the very beginning is just knowing when the breath is long, breath is short. In breath, out breath. But on the third stage, then one trains the mind, trains sati, one trains attentiveness to experience the whole body as it's breathing. And then fourth stage is training the calming down of the body, bodily formation. That is the breath in the body, you can calm it down. And, you know, again, calm body, calm mind. Calm breathing, calm body, calm mind. It's a training to develop. Then it goes on to the postures. This is not, you don't just do, you can do them, you know, you're walking sometimes, we're walking, we're sitting, we're standing, we're lying down, the 4 postures, as well as sitting down formally for the breathing meditation. So just continue this exercise and being more attentive to what's going on. Breathing, now standing up, now walking, now sitting. And then the real test is lying down. Try and be mindful when you lie down. But there's some helpful suggestions there, because if you do practice attentiveness when you're lying down, you can notice the body relaxing, maybe falling asleep. You actually notice how the sense of self slowly dissolves. You know, if you have a strong sense of yourself, you're thinking about yourself, you won't fall asleep, right? If you're worrying about things, you're not going to fall asleep. But if you allow the body to relax, then you just slowly empty your mind of thoughts. With the breathing, perhaps, you can notice that the thinking slows down, your sense of the references to a self-referencing slows down, calms down, then it gets a little bit foggy, and then, oh, it's morning. And then maybe you can be aware of waking up also. When you first thing in the morning, when you're waking up, the very, very first, it's just the same as this process. Your eyes open, there's contact, there's knowing, seeing. What am I? Feeling, I guess. Oh, awake. Oh. And then perception comes in. Oh, right. This is Tuesday, right? Okay. Yeah. Oh, morning meditation, right? Yeah. And then the talking comes in. Should I go to morning meditation or shouldn't I? Maybe it's too cold, maybe it's too wet, or maybe I'm too tired. But then if I don't, then I gotta hear about it, you know, okay, proliferation comes in. Okay, better get up. And then of course, then it extends to all the activities. Okay, maybe it's reasonably easier when you have one formal exercise like sitting, or standing, but then try to be aware, try to be mindful from standing to walking to opening the door to eating to talking to, it's possible. And many times in those activities, you learn a lot about yourself. When we're sitting in here meditating, we are our Buddhist self, you see, right? Then you walk outside and suddenly you're somebody else. My social self. my persona, put my persona on and I'm the cheerful person or I'm the grumpy person or and then we get into a little bit more kind of formal exercises, not just being aware of our activities, but being aware of like the 32 parts of the body, 31 parts of the body. I mentioned this as one exercise already to go through the different parts of the body. And this, in one it says that we review the body in terms of its various elements. There's the hair of the head and the hair of the body, there's the nails, the teeth, the skin. Normally we just look at the body. And we forget that it's actually composed of all different parts. When you can do this as an exercise, you begin to see it differently. Oh, right, yeah. Now my body isn't painful, it's just my finger. Then there is the elements, the four elements. Review the body in terms of the four elemental qualities. Earth is hardness, water is fluidity, air is spaciousness or distension, they say, and fire is heat and cold, actually. So one time, a few times I've tried this meditation, and again, you see the body quite differently. Instead of this, my body, these are just elemental qualities here, earth, fire, water, air. And earth, fire, water, air are everywhere. Be careful you don't dissolve into the floor. Float away on the wind, walk through the water. On water? Instead of go through the water. Your body's flowing with the water. And the last one is the stages of the decaying corpse. This is for developing, of course, one of the meditations about suffering is dying, death. So many of us are afraid of death, right? It's even probably instinctual, right? Yeah. But if you meditate upon the corpse dissolving, well, it's just, okay, now I'm like this, and someday I'm going to be bloated, and I'll be probably in a box, but or just ashes maybe, more likely these days. But anyway, but it can help to create a certain amount of dispassion towards the body. We're all going to pass away, right? This body's going to dissolve away. But okay, I mean, you guys are, but not me. Inside, we still think that, you will, but not me. And then once we get some awareness, some attentiveness to the nature of awareness, we also say satipanya. There is this attentiveness and there's wisdom. The wisdom now is based upon direct experience, not just reading in a book, but you see it for yourself. Oh, the body's like this. The body is four elements. The body is a corpse, a walking corpse. The body is 32 parts put together. That's how it really is. But we just never give it that much, we don't give attention that way to it, you see. And then we come to the feelings. And if you're aware of the bodily sensations, the nature of the body, probably you've already become aware of feeling to some degree. You look at parts of the body and, oh, This one is pleasant, this one's not so pleasant. You know, they say, my nails, pretty neutral. But my hair, pleasant. Depends if it's hot or cold, yeah.
If you have any or not.
Yes, yeah. Well, you and I, we're in the same category here. Yes, to say if it's hot, you're missing it then. Sometimes your teeth are, painful or something, unpleasant at certain times. And then we can actually, the Buddha mentions in regard to feeling, there's two kinds of general feeling. There's those feelings that arise from the senses, and those arise which are called spiritual feelings. So, for example, Buddha realized that we all have feelings. It's automatic. Every sentient being has feelings, But there are some like pleasant feelings, sensual pleasures, which are very, you can say, dangerous in a way, because sensual pleasures are very fleeting. You enjoy something for a while and then you get bored with it. It's very, very changeable. But there are feelings that also, spiritual feelings that come from spiritual practices like samadhi, for example. They have a different quality to them. They're more like they're based upon renunciation, based upon selflessness, you can say, fundamentally. And those, like, our natural nature is joy. But you think about yourself, sometimes it's not so pleasant, right? Think about yourself. But no self is blissful. Yeah. Nobody there, blissful. Yeah. But anyway, there is spiritual feelings too. And then of course there was, for neutral feeling, the spiritual neutral feeling becomes equanimity. So a neutral feeling is, it's not pleasant or unpleasant, but an equanimity is a different kind of feeling. You can be with suffering, for example, but equanimous about it. No big deal about it. You've seen it, you've been there, you know what it is like, so don't get excited about it. And then then we come to the states of mind. If you do a little more complicated, say there's one body, three feelings or six feelings, but then the Buddha mentions 16 different states of mind. But of course there are a lot more than that, but the Buddha just points out these particular ones. I would say the first three are be mindful of greed, aversion, delusion. Just having it pointed out to us, greed, and see what the effect is. If you notice some greed in the mind, is it satisfying? Does it leave you kind of, exhausted and kind of hungover? Yes, I'd like to have that, but I can't. Aversion, what about aversion? If you bring attention to it, just try to observe it objectively. For many of us, if we have something like greed, aversion, delusion, these are even Buddhists. These are negative things, you see. Shouldn't have them. Yeah. So you notice some greed, naughty, shouldn't have it. but in reality, what mindfulness is saying, we do have it. Better look at it, understand it, receive it, so you understand where it's coming from. Aversion, we all have aversion. I would say it's even instinctual. If we didn't have some aversion to pain, we'd probably be dead by now. You have to be careful about life. You have aversion to, if it's too cold, better be careful. Yeah. The aversion, if it gets cold enough, you have aversion to the cold, it's a safety mechanism. If you endure too much cold, you get sick. So anyway, trying to understand these basic emotions, especially the negative ones, which we normally don't want to look at. The Buddhists now, with attentiveness, mindfulness, we can just look at it. Oh yeah, the mind is more calm, more collected. You can look at this and not react to it. Your mind doesn't go into all the proliferation. I shouldn't have greed. I've been meditating so long. I shouldn't have aversion. I shouldn't have. But it's there. Mindfulness is, sorry, it's right there. Look at it and find out what the cause is. All these emotions, they have a cause. They come from something. And these causes are, there's, on one hand, they're a little bit, they're kind of multifaceted. They come from various sources. You can look at a very, very root source is misperception. Sanya. We misperceive things. But I mean, you have to see what the processes are there. Just hearing about it isn't really, it's useful to know there is that possibility, but it will see it yourself. You know, for example, sometimes you may notice, you know, your anger arises, and then, oh, I misunderstood. Misunderstanding. You know, I didn't get it right, and I got angry about it. You know? So do you continue with that anger? You know, or do you, oh, does it dissolve? Oh, sorry, you know, misunderstanding. Until we see the root causes, then they're still going to persist in some way because we have a big backlog. I mean, you know, I maybe it's a bit early to tell the story about my anger issue, but next time, to keep you coming back again. But basically, you know, since the very early days of our life, whenever the sense of self arose, we've had greed, aversion, delusion. It's part of having a personality, having an ego, having a self. You know, there's things you like, things you dislike, things you just don't care about too much. You know, just don't know about them. Delusion, kind of confusing, maybe confusion about them. So we have a whole backlog. And then maybe there's something comes along in our life today, and this is a trigger, and it sets off the alarm bells for all that unprocessed greed, aversion, delusion. Hopefully only one at a time. So I mean, being able to become more aware of them, or more mindful, attentive to them. You know, mindfulness, again, attentiveness, it's a developmental stage. In the very beginning, it's just noticing these things. Yeah. And then after a while, you begin to actually see them more clearly, slowly. It means being able to kind of break through the conceptual level of them. You know, oh, that's greed. Oh, that's aversion. That's delusion. Yes, right. Yeah. But then you begin to look at it more carefully. You know, you begin to see more clearly what this is. You can say this is in the chanting we do. It's called anusati. It has the word sati in it. So you can say that it's sort of like in the beginning, the word sati use meant at the very beginning means to remember. So first of all, you remember, right, what to do, watch the breath. The anusati is recollection. You recall to mind something. You bring it back into your consciousness, right? What are you doing? I'm going back, I'm going to watch the breathing now. Yeah. And then it becomes, you know, awareness, you can say. Until the final development, you can say, finally, becomes full presence of mind. Fully present with what's there. No discussion about it. There's no little voice going on saying, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Oh, fully present with what it is. Full presence of mind. And you see things in a different way then. Oh, that's how it really is. Before it was filtered through your own sanya, your own perceptions. You know, I think it's like this, I think it's like that. You know, but if you develop this sati enough, it becomes full presence of mind and just clear seeing. No arguments anymore, no discussion. Then it becomes wisdom. This is how it really is. So developing these qualities, I mean, it takes some practice. You know, Ajahn Chah gave the analogy one time that it's, you know, practice is a bit like just turning on the tap. You turn the tap in the beginning and it just drip. You know, oh yeah, what am I doing? Oh, be aware of walking, getting up and walking. Okay, sitting, okay, and then you're off somewhere. You're off on eBay again, back again. But the more you keep up with the practice, the more you turn the tap a bit more, and then it begins a little bit more drip. Eventually it can become a steady stream. And then they say the Arahant, the fully enlightened being, has sati panya, mindfulness wisdom, 24/7. Yeah. They say. Could be a kind of a new franchise, couldn't it? But these are spiritual powers. We refer to them as powers or factors of awakening. There's certain qualities of mind we all have. We all have some degree of sati, of collectedness, but most of us haven't developed it to a very significant degree. What the Buddha is saying now, these are spiritual powers. If you can empower them, you can cut through a lot of the delusion in our life. So this Buddha gives us a possibility then to find out the way out of suffering then. Then we're bringing this, as you watch the body, you can't ignore the unsatisfactoriness of the body, the feelings, changing just like the wind, blowing here and there, and pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, unpleasant, neutral. States of mind, where are states of mind? Can you show me your state of mind? What color is it? Pluck it out of your brain. There's irritation. Blue with sharp edges. States of mind are the flow of mental activity, you see. But if you begin to observe them, then you can begin to distinguish. Actually, here it is. It arises and it's getting stronger, then passes away, and and there's a certain state of mind, and then this thing comes into it, and it increases. Something else comes along, you relax, and decreases. Right. Not only do you understand your mind, but you have some control over it then too. Control through understanding, through wisdom then. So, there's a possibility then to realize more and more the cessation of suffering. All of its various forms. It presents itself in all kinds of different ways, physical, mental, emotional, if you like. But we go into it, investigate it and study it, get down to the root causes of it. Just being able to recognize, to notice these emotions is already pushing back the veil of ignorance. Greed, aversion. Just being aware of aversion, then maybe it stops you from getting averse to aversion, being judgmental and about aversion, or getting irritated by aversion, and just aversion. And the psychologists realize that when we have these emotions, there's hormones are secreted, and if you just can be with it, in 90 seconds your blood is flushed out of your blood system. 90 seconds. The adrenaline and all the negative hormones, negative hormones? Toxic hormones are flushed out of your system. But most of us will react to it again. Not in 90 seconds. Okay? Not in 90 seconds. Okay, here I is a whole lifetime now. Still flushing toxins out of my blood. But if you can just be present with it, you get a fright or something, or these emotions arise and you just don't react to it. Be present with it, calmly observe it. It rises and it passes away. Cessation of suffering. Flows away out of the bridge, down to the sea. So I think you better pause there. I'll give you a few minutes for questions.
Anmayam Vardam Githaya Sadhu Karam Dharamase Sadhu 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 Anmodam. Question? If you're doing samadhi practice and then the opportunity comes up to investigate some thinking or some papancha, should you take that opportunity, or should you just go back to the breath? Whatever.
Depends how calm the mind is. Yeah, and there's basically, there's different opinions about how much calm you need. But personally, I prefer Rajan Shah's advice. Yeah. When I asked him how much calm we need, he just said, calm enough. which at first I was very frustrated with, because normally in the scriptures it says, one level, second level, third, and he just said calm enough, and I said, what is that, 1, 2, or 3, or 4, but the point is that each state of mind is different. So some of the thinking maybe is pretty low key or low energy thinking. So if you have enough calm in your mind, say have a minimal amount of calm, you can look at the minimal thinking. Right? If the thinking is very strong, you might need some more calm. Yeah. So you got to test it out a little bit, I would say. If you assume that your mind is calm enough to observe the thinking, observe it, not get caught into it. Yeah. Then you try to observe it, investigate it. What's the nature of this thinking? Is it thinking about the future or the past, or is it, and you can more observe it more objectively without getting pulled into it. Okay, but if you find yourself getting pulled into it, back to the breathing. It's better to try to maintain some degree of calm as a point of reference, otherwise you can't see it clearly. You get pulled into it, and then you're part of the story then. Yeah. So it's up to each individual is different, each situation is different, so you got to test it out for yourself. But you always, it's always helpful to have that reference back to the breathing again. It's very useful to have a good foundation in the breathing, that you can always return to it, reasonably easily.
So it can be productive to go back and forth a lot during one meditation.
Yeah,
Even
I would
if
say
you
so, yeah.
get very far into samadhi if you've...
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
When you say thinking, you mean that would be a collection of mental contents?
Yep, a whole variety of different things. It could be memories of the past, it can be plans for the future, it can be just fantasizing or daydreams or whatever.
Is that what they classify as mental formations and mental contents that you read about it as an object?
Well, the mental formations, I think, as Bhikkhu Bodhi uses in his translation there, is more like what he calls the sankharas. So it includes the kind of thinking part, includes greed, aversion, delusion, but it also includes certain kind of like attention, certain basic kind of mental functions, attention, decision. I think there's a few contact, there's a few kind of fundamental qualities of mind, which are there. Then there is the stuff we add to it, the emotions, the greed, aversion, delusion, and stuff. So it's quite a rich bag of things, yeah.
It's a circular thing, isn't it? It's a circle, really, isn't it? Because you have all those things coming up as then sense objects, so then there'll be more feelings,
Yes.
more
Yep.
sanya, and there'll be more.
Yeah. That's why, as I mentioned last time about on the progressive path, one of the factors was sense restraint. Yeah. Most retreats, the people doing meditation practice, one of the things is sense restraint. They sit with their eyes closed. They ideally don't talk so much. You live in a closed environments, so try and cut down some of the sense stimulation anyway, so that you don't keep adding more to it, so you can get some perspective on it. But the more the one's involved with things and has to process information, the more the mind is stirred up. Not to mention having to process the stuff we haven't processed yet, So sometimes I think some people, unless they can really disengage from things, it's very hard to get down to the old processes that have already been habituated there. You just keep processing. You're still processing the new stuff, not to mention the old stuff that you've got a backlog of. So having a period of retreat is like that, I would say. Guess what it actually technically means to retreat back to the old stuff and see. And the old stuff, I would say, is even more important because that's where we have our fundamental basis, how we relate to the world. And some psychologists say it even begins in the womb. You know, the fetus can pick up whether the world is kind of a welcoming place or a threatening place, for example. Then from there you start to build your whole personality, whether you're an open and receptive and positive person, or you're defensive and frightened and suspicious or something. You know, that builds a kind of core, of your being, and then you build onto it the reactions to that. So. And some of that you can pick up if you tune into the body. You can pick it up because it is at like a cellular level. Like the impressions in the womb are not in your brain. The fetus does not have a conceptual brain yet, but it still has, the cells, physical cells. So this is remembered in the cells. It's somatic memory, not a mental memory.
Could you say that ignorance is kind of is it pre-conscious state? Like it's for us,
Yeah.
everyday people, it's a pre-conscious state. It's not something that we can very easily just see and change consciously.
Yep.
Until I guess there's some kind of training that have to bring it into consciousness.
Yep. But the development of mindfulness, of sati, is making more things conscious. One of the it was called a psychic power that Buddha had was to remember previous existences. You see, and sati means to remember. So by developing sati, possibly you could develop awareness of your previous, your previous ignorance.
So it's kind of it's deeply embedded in our desire, our craving, ignorance, but we can't see it. Like it's like when we desire things, we just want things. We don't really understand what's.
Yep.
We don't understand the components of it, of that desire.
Yep.
And inside there's ignorance, but there's just no way of us seeing that unless we do some kind of training.
Yes. Yep. That's why Buddha talked about these qualities of your collectedness and sati, attentiveness. They have very, very special powers that can do that. Make you more conscious of what's going on. Great possibilities. How long have you got?
Raise retreat.
I mean, more like how many lifetimes?
Choice, you know.
And maybe you're a quick student, or you're a quick learner.
A couple of eons. Sorry, I've got another one. Unless someone else has got a question. Long-Paul. When we, are called to be mindful when it comes to chit-chat in your mind, it seems when there's sort of cursive thinking in your brain, discursive thinking, it's a little bit easier to actually see it as just chatter, that's not you. But when it comes to mood is harder to distinguish from the sense of self. So I find that in some ways, when you are mindful of chatter, you have that distance. You can say, this is not me, and it seems productive. But sometimes when you think you're too mindful of mood, you can kind of sometimes be dwelling when it comes to mood. And do you have any solutions to it?
If you look in the body, try and distinguish where the mood is kind of where it affects the body most. Yeah, maybe we can give you a little bit of distance. And, oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, Like if you're, there's you looking at your mood, you're too close to it, you see. But you look at in the body, for example, or maybe other people as well. You can see how it affects other people, or look in the body and then get a different angle on it. It's like looking at the mirror from different angles, That's why it's one of the things that sati can do. That's why they have, I would say, body, feeling, states of mind, So you develop more awareness of these various aspects of our being, you see. Not just the body, not just the feelings, not just the state of mind, but you can see them mirrored in different ways, so you have a different angle on them. Pops can give you a clearer perspective on it.
In some methods, it's recommended that when you have a sense contact, to try and look for the accompanying feeling in that moment, and sort of follow that. Is that really something that's further down the line? For a beginner, you should just stay with the.
Depends again, different states, different states of mind require different approaches, you see. So, it's just try to observe there's enough calm in the mind first, if you can actually stay with observing it, not get pulled into it, be the one that knows it, not the one who's drawn into it. Yeah. And sometimes if it's not so strong, for example, even a beginner can see it, so to speak, But the main thing is to be able to keep your point of reference, Like we say in Thai, we say to be the one that knows, be the Buddha. The Buddha means the one who knows, rather than the one who's been drawn into it and now you're the maker of it, again, by judging it or trying to figure it out or something. Oh, lost it. Can't just watch it. But up to you to see. You can see that. I think it's helpful to be able to learn that ability yourself. You see, recognize the strength of your different moods, the different degrees of calm that you can maintain or you can develop or whatever. To know how much is calm enough. That was a real challenge. I was irritated by Ajahn Chah's answer, because it's up to us to decide what's calm enough. I want him to tell me what's calm enough. But he wouldn't tell me. I had to find out for myself.
Very skillful act, though.
Yes, yeah.
Very skillful.
That's why most of his teachings were putting it back to you all the time, you see, rather than always depending upon him to be with all the answers, you see.
That's dangerous, because then you don't go into yourself.
Yeah.
You rely on the external person rather than yourself.
Yep. Sometimes somebody would ask him a question, he said, well, I don't know, what do you think? So you'd be very careful when you went to see him or talk to him, because he might ask you for the answer, You go to him expecting an answer and he would throw it back to you. What do you think? I don't think.
But that's how to be rather than
Yes,
telling you the answer, because we've got the answer in us.
Yes, yeah.
We have to see it for ourselves. It
Yeah.
can guide us.
Yeah.
It's also giving you permission.
Yes,
Permission to trust yourself.
Trust yourself, yes, yeah.
One meditation teacher told me once that it's not the sense pleasure, for example, that's the danger, it's the attachment to it. And that if you can indulge in these sense pleasures without attaching to it, you can have okay, you can drop it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Good luck.
Then the scriptures
Yes, yeah.
say all conditioned things are dukkha, and that you've got to be aware of it.
Yes, yeah.
Is that just because we're actually incapable of dropping it, really?
Yes, yeah.
And that we can't really enjoy it equanimously for
Yes,
the moment, because
yes, yeah.
we're kind of stuck with it after that.
Yeah. It's easy to say, but
But if you became an arahant,
yes.
presumably you could roll around in the sense pleasures without being attached to them.
But the thing, yes, I mean, this sounds logical, but if you're an arahant, you don't want to bother with it.
Yeah.
You just want to sit there quietly and enjoy the peace rather than, so what, sense pleasures, no more taste, sorry. They're stale by now, you know. I'd rather sit there in the bliss of jhana rather than go out and chase
Sense pleasure
pleasures.
too rough.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
There are those teachers, though, this brings to mind Trungpa, for example, who, you know, he was still knocking back drinks, you know, every day. And, you know, I imagine he was, you know, fairly attained.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know, very,
Yeah.
I think he died of liver disease.
Yeah.
Well, it's one way to go, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, no, but he was, you know, he was well up there. Yeah, beings that know.
It's hard to know another person's mind.
Mhm.
Actually, I have a question. With the when you know observing the sequence, if you can at all, really, like how do you integrate like Sakaya Ditti into or a lens of trying to find your self view when you're practicing this way, when you're at the level of Sankara or Sanya, trying to look at it. You know what I mean? You're just in a meditation. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, you asked about Sakyaditi, you said.
yeah.
Yeah.
Self-view.
Personality view, yeah. Well, I mean, it's depends what level you catch it at, you see.
Mm.
You know, is it the proliferations? Is it the thinking? Is it the sanya? It's in there somewhere, you know.
Is it helpful to just name what you're seeing? Or-
Sometimes it is, yeah. I mean, it just I did that as a one teaching tradition that tells you to label things, you see. Yeah. And I did that for a while, you know, but found it very helpful because sometimes you just, thinking, but sometimes you can stop, it was helpful to stop and observe what kind of thinking is it?
Mm.
Yeah, is it a memory? Is it plans for the future? Is it, But then after a while I found that that was still thinking, you see. Judging, so still thoughts, the concepts still got in the way of the direct experience. So then I tried to took a while to drop it, and because it became a habit.
But isn't it automatic generate, no part? Doesn't matter you label it and not label it. It's still automatic generate from your perception, from your mind.
Depends what, what
Like
level.
Like sanya and of course these two things of course always automatic generate from your mental activity.
Well, it doesn't have to be sanya. You don't
That's
want
why
the sanya.
sometimes it's sanya, sometimes it's sankhara, but
Yeah.
but so what, like you said, you used to label it and drop it. So what the difference if you not drop it or you not label it? Because it's automatic generate.
It wasn't automatic,
just
though. I had
recognize
to
that.
do it. I had to create it. And what kind of thought is that? Well, that's a memory. Okay.
Yeah.
Before I didn't do that. I just
Oh.
just noticed
Yeah.
the mind moving and went back to the breath.
Yeah.
Back to the breath. Back to the breath.
I do that too now, and then what you said you drop it. So should I drop it? So why you drop it?
Why did I?
Drop to label it.
Because it got in the way. It got in the way of the direct experience of what that was. I was in the mind. Is this a thought? Is this memory? Is this a future? Is this a plan for the future? This memory? I wasn't watching the breath anymore. I wasn't even observing the state of mind. It was in the mind thinking about what this was, you see.
Yeah.
Trying to judging it and
More of an analytical thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rather than
Yep.
trying to go.
rather than just observing it. Yeah.
But there seems always to be, even if I'm trying not to label things, there's always, There's always a narrator somewhere. Way of thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But it's possible to kind of drop it too, maybe.
Drop back out
Try and
as
get
well.
to the correct experience.
Yeah.
Mhm. So enough for now. We got another program yet.
Thank you.
Optional, okay.
Thank you, Paul.
Singing.